Sorry for the delay. I'm moving a little slowly today. I'm still jet lagged. But, you know, we're getting there. So, thanks for joining me. It's time for our week 21 Bead Stash Challenge Design Reveal. I'm Paula Montgomery from Desert Cat Creations, and I want to welcome you to our design reveal. So every week on Sundays, we draw cards to see what our design's going to be for the week. And on Thursdays, we make our project live. So today we're going to make a barrette. So that's going to be something a little different from our normal jewelry stuff that we make every day. But, you know, making a barrette, you can make some beautiful ones. Unfortunately, I don't know that I have any of my samples handy. Let me fix that real quick. I cleaned up stuff a while back. Not sure where I put it, so sorry, can't show you the ones we've made in the past, but the pictures are out there on our Facebook page if you want to look at them. So I don't have any other announcements. We'll be back on time on Sunday noon. Apologize in advance. I'm still getting over this cold I got on my trip, so if I start coughing or I sound a little rough, that's why. But we're getting there. We're recovering. So anyways, that's where we're at. So let's go ahead and flip it over and get started, since we got started a little late here today. All right, let's see what, so the cards told us to make a barrette today. So I pulled out a couple of barrettes. They're slightly different sizes, so you can get these, you know, at any of your craft stores, Amazon, I'm sure, Walmart. I think I got a box of them at Walmart at one point. Basically, these are, you know, barrettes that you can glue something on or wire it on. We're going to wire it on today, okay? We are supposed to use crystals in our design, so I have a couple of crystals, and I have more in case since, you know, we'll have to wait and see what all I need, right? We are supposed to use a bead frame in our design. So bead frames, I am going to use these ones. So basically, the bead frame has a hole in the middle, and it has a way to put a string through there and through the bead in the middle, right? Now, if you don't have something like that, you know, you can just surround your bead with something, you know, to use. It's just basically you need a bead inside something as far as the card's concerned, right? We need to use a lobster clasp, so I do have a lobster clasp, and you may think, well, what in the world would I need a clasp for on a barrette, which you really wouldn't, but we are going to put one on here. So this is the lobster clasp, in case you're not familiar, which are very handy for bracelets, right? All right, and then we have to make our design inspired by a tiki bar. So remember, these inspiration cards, it can be colors, it can be any number of things. So I am going with, I'm putting some flip-flop. These are actually buttons from Dress It Up buttons, so we are going to use those in our design as part of our tiki bar. And the other thing I thought is you have to be wearing your Hawaiian shirt with your flip-flops, so I've got some, you know, some hibiscus flowers that match my buttons. All right. I'm going to add some flip-flops, and I have a few other crystals in here that I have handy just to work on our design, all right? And I have some assorted beads around that I will use if I need them, because I don't know exactly how this layout's going to happen, okay? So let's set those aside. All right, so what I was thinking is, now I will show you that the flip-flop, the shank for the button is a little off-centered, so they will be tilted, kind of like that, okay? And then I thought I would put maybe a flower on either side, all right? So if I think I'm going to use this smaller one, it doesn't really matter other than, you know, how much wire I have showing, right? So I thought, you know, I would put that on there. Now I have these little crystals. They're actually coin shaped, but you can't really tell that I'm going to use so that the button sits up. So we'll try it. It may or may not be needed. And then, you know, like I said, I had these other crystals I was going to put in my bead frames. Right. So there's a couple ways we can do this. I am going to I'm going to pull off a section of 24 gauge wire because I want something bendy, okay, something that I can manipulate. So I'm gonna pull off about maybe like 1.5 feet because I'd rather have extra wire than not enough. Okay, now you could probably use 22 gauge wire. It's just 24 is a little easier to manipulate. So there's a couple ways to do this, and one is you can, you know, just wire wrap things around this way, or you can secure them to both ends and not secure the middle, or you can do a combination. We're going to do a combination, okay? So I'm going to pick a direction for this barrette because my flip-flops only go one direction. So I normally, when I put things in my hair, I go left to right, I guess. So that's what direction my barrette is going to be. So, all right, so I'm going to start by putting some wire through this hole. And let me just grab some pliers so that I can pull the ends of the wire tight. And I am just wrapping a short end around through this hole to secure one end of the wire, okay? I'm going to wrap it again. Just to make sure that holds on there, okay? So I'm going to squeeze that a little. Now, I could have come up and over. It doesn't necessarily matter which direction. Your wire comes through the hole. So I'm going to go ahead and string, and like I said, I think I need some little beads underneath this button so that it sits up a little bit. And in a minute here I will show you what I've got. And these may not be the right beads, so I might have to get some different ones out. hole on there, so. Now, depending on what kind of buttons you use, you know, the shanks might go different directions. So, you know, I could have like put the several buttons and laid it across the top. Let's kind of push these close together. Let's see what we've got here. And I would say that actually fits on there pretty well. Actually thought that one was gonna go. It's okay. It's kind of cute, huh? All right, so now I'm gonna open this just because it'll make my life easier. And I am going to bring the wire up and through this end, okay? And I'm going to do that more than once. All right, so then bring it up a third time. Just I want to make sure it's on there. All right, now I am gonna like tuck it under here, and now I am going to wrap around the barrette in between the beads, okay? Because I don't really want the wire showing. All right. So I'm gonna make sure that goes, you know, all the way around once. And then I'm going to go under here and take it next to the next flower. And what this does is just helps it sit flat, okay, on the barrette. So make sure you pull it tight. And then we'll go around this one. Let's go. So we're going underneath. Now you want to go through between the clip part. Right. So we'll pull that tight. And then I'm going to go back around. And we're going to come up next to this flower. And I'm going to tuck that underneath. There's still room to do that. As you get close to the end, you may have to go around the top part. And Now I'm going to go around the top part and through this end piece again, or the end circle again, okay? So now I've got that hooked on there pretty well, huh? And now I want to make sure I get this hooked on the end here, nice and tight. Double check there's nothing interfering with my barrette. All right, so remember now we have to add a clip, a lobster clasp to our barrette. So I'm going to take this wire that's sticking out here, and I'm going to make a small wrapped loop. So we got our 45 degrees. And then actually I want it to be fairly close to the end, so it's just sticking off there. And then I'm going to wrap that around a couple times just to give it some strength, right? And then trying to see if there's still space I can just stick this through so I make sure it's hooked on there nice and firmly. All right, and now I am just gonna trim that wire. And I'm gonna just tighten that with my pliers. So here we have our barrette there. And now we need to incorporate our bead frame and our lobster clasp. So I thought I would just make a little dangle that we can attach to that loop. So we're gonna make a dangle with our bead frame. I'm gonna use 22 gauge wire here just because it's less. Now I want less floppiness in my wire, okay? But let's. So when you're loading your bead frame, sometimes getting that bead in the middle can be a challenge. That's where this bead fits in here. But of course, now that I'm doing it live, I think I had the bead going the other way. All right, I need a smaller smaller bead of some sorts. I'm going to pull out some of these other, these are little triangle beads, so maybe I can fit a couple of them in there. So that's the other thing, is you can stack some beads in your frame. It's like I can only really get 2 through there. And now I could put, I don't know, maybe I can get a 3rd one. Let's try it. So I find the easiest thing to do is like put my wire through, kind of stick things out a little bit, and then excuse me, and then pull it back in. So no, it won't fit. Sorry. All right, so we're just gonna have a little space in here. And that just means our beads will move around, okay? Which is fine. All right, so I'm going to hook the a charm to one end and my lobster clasp to the other end. So it really doesn't matter which one I do first here. But so I'm going to put my charm on first, I think. All right, so we've got our loop, and now we're putting our charm on here. And let's wrap this around. Now I'm gonna tuck that end in. I'm gonna slide that guy back down. And then I'm going to make a loop on top of my frame here. I'll make it a little bigger because I need my clasps to fit on there. Alright, so we'll put our lobster clasp on there, make sure it has room to move a little bit. Right, and now I'm going to finish wrapping this. Hey everybody, hopefully my signal's okay. I see that some of you are popping on, but it seems very slow. I'm going to and tuck that around the rest of the way. All right, and let's trim that and tuck this in. All right. So since my bead frame does have a pattern on it, I want to make sure the pattern's facing the same direction as my charm here. Let me move these guys all out of the way now. And now we have a removable dangle. Yeah, all right. I'm going to flip this around because I think want the clip facing the back. All right, so then we are just gonna clip that on, and let's see. All right, so I need to turn my loop here so that this hangs in a specific direction. So now if you want a little extra bling on your barrette, you can attach the little dangle, or you can remove it, so you end up having something that, you know, has multiple options to it. You guys think about that? Can't tell if anybody's out there. All right, so let's discuss that briefly again. So we made a barrette. We started with the barrette frame. Then we put our wrapped our wire in one end. So just a reminder, this is what it has. It has a circle at each end. I used a straight wire to put everything on there, wrapped it to hold it to the other end, and then we did some wrapping around the middle to hold it flat against our design. So, and then we added our dangle so that we included our bead frame. And we have some crystals here. We also have some crystals here, so we did use our crystals. And let's see, I think that was everything. What did I have to use? I had to use a bead frame. I had to, oh, my lobster clasp, yeah. So that's our finished design. And we've got our tiki bar inspiration, because, you know, you wear flip-flops and Hawaiian shirts to the tiki bar. So, alrighty, yay, another one back and done. So if I wanted to, I could make different clips to go on here, and I also could have added another ring there if I wanted stuff hanging down from both sides. Our barrette that we made last year, we had a chain that dangled down that you could adjust or take off. So it's not our first lobster clip in a barrette. All right. All right. So I'll have to take a picture of it in my hair. Let's see. I guess I could put it in the side of my hair for the moment. There you go. Oh, I'll have my husband take a picture. But anyways, there we go. This one's. Now, you know, I could have done more wraps just to make sure everything was tighter in there, but I think, you know, most of the time, once it's in your hair, it should sit okay. All right, thanks for joining me. That was a quick project today. I will say barrettes are one of those things that you do have to start with the piece that goes on the back. I don't know how you would do it, but you know, you could also use those other clips, you know, the flat clips, and you can design all your things as a dangle from the end of that. So that's an option too if you draw the barrette card. Anyways, thanks again for joining me. I will be back on Sunday at noon Pacific time to figure out what we're going to make for week 22. And we'll have any other announcements that come up at that time. So it's great to see y'all again. If you haven't already, please like and follow Desert Cat Creations on Facebook, Instagram, and subscribe to us on YouTube. I move all the videos over to YouTube because Facebook only saves them for 30 days, so they will stay longer on YouTube and be available to you. So if you ever have any questions, feel free to direct message me. If you message me from YouTube, it basically will send me an email, so we'll correspond that way. But I'm always happy to answer whatever jewelry questions you have or about any of my products. Like I said, I am working diligently behind the scenes on some new kits for folks, and we'll be getting those out to you, or we'll be making that debut hopefully soon. I have all the pieces, so it's just a matter of me writing up the directions and getting those ready for you guys. So all right, look forward to seeing you on Sunday. I hope you guys all have a great weekend, and stay safe wherever you are. I know there's some crazy weather going around. If there's not the crazy weather, hopefully you're getting some nice spring weather, and it is still spring even though it's sort of officially summer, right? So anyways, I will see you all on Sunday. Have a great weekend. Bye.